Well, all right. Hey guys, welcome to CyberBuzz. You were just listening to Making Stuff with Meadows and Makers here on MSP Waves, and I feel bad because I always like to listen to Making Stuff shows, and today is getting a guest ready, and I didn't get to catch any of it. So, Making Stuff, maybe what you should do in the chat for those of us who are horrible people is maybe you could drop some of the places that you put your stuff out there for people to consume. Give us some links where we can go back and check out everything that you're doing after the fact. Yeah, Krim here. Hi, guys. So we're going to get everybody to jump on in, and I'm going to let you guys know what we're doing today because it's kind of a cool day. I have a guest, which it's been a while since I have, and he doesn't realize that I've muted him right now. So I'm going to get a chance to introduce him. I'll change the overlay so you can see him on the screen. It's going to be very exciting. One of the things that I've noticed is my socials are broken. So right now I can see somebody's watching on YouTube, but I don't have all the chats going or whatever else. So you know how I start every show with the caveat that I'm a terrible DJ? It continues, friends. It continues. But I'm just going to right now double check that I have the YouTube chat working. So if somebody says hi, I'll be able to see it, and then I'll know that we can get going. So that person over on YouTube, double check that we're live and kicking. So my name is Crimson Clad. Hi Eileen. Hi everybody. Hello. A new Therian album. That's awesome. But today is not that day, my friend. But I'm glad to see you, Gabriel. So now that everybody's getting excited, everybody's here. Disregard Fiat has offered you an eggplant. I'll unmute him in just a sec. Let me talk a little bit about what we're going to do today. Hey, random internet guy. Hi. People are jumping in all over the place. That's perfect. Thank you. We're a little slow. I'm a little slow, but we'll get there. What do we do on CyberBuzz Radio? CyberBuzz is this fun kind of retro future take on stuff happening around the Hive blockchain in general, tech, and sometimes a little bit of synthwave music. So I opened the show with some music if you were listening in one of the other rooms. But for those of you that are here, we may or may not do very much music today. I suspect we're going to have a good, long, fun chat with Disregard Fiat. And I'm going to quickly unmute him here, so you're going to be able to hear him. Can you say hello, friend?
Hello, friend.
Yay! There he is. And I'm going to switch the overlay so you can actually see that he is here. He's not a fake person. Look! There he is.
This is how you lose viewers.
All right. So now the question is, like, I know that you go around out in the world by your meatbag name, but I also know that you're around the platform here as Disregard Fiat or DF, or what do you want us to refer to you as today?
Steve is fine. Disregard Fiat's fine.
Hey,
yeah,
Steve.
I don't really care.
Okay, good. Fair enough. And so I see Mark Giles is in the audience as well. So I know Mark is part of the project, right?
Oh, yeah. Me and Mark go way back.
Perfect. So the deal with today is we're going to talk a little bit about some of the stuff that you're doing around the Hive blockchain and kind of why it's cool for all of the people listening and all of the people who may have never actually heard of DLUX, which is entirely possible. Now, I'm going to quickly throw this out there that you guys know I suck. I suck at marketing my shows and my project and myself. That's just not what I do. I am going to lovingly throw you under the bus here and say that you are also not awesome at this. So DLUX has been around. Yeah. It's a loving beak. But DLUX has been around for quite some time now. I know your guys' focus shifted off it, but you started on the legacy code base, and it was this really awesome VR, AR kind of platform that we actually talked about quite often here on this show. We just never managed to get you on. And a lot of the times we do kind of come back to the VR topics on this show. But now you guys have migrated, you're working on Hive, and you're using DLUX for so much more than VR. And so I thought today we could talk a little bit about the sort of two aspects of the ecosystem, the big things that you're working on for second layer, because there are a lot of people who are used to sort of the tokens around Hive already, but also kind of the DeFi aspect of ETH. And you're doing some really cool, exciting stuff to kind of marry that, those possibilities to the future of Hive. So, that's, it's a lot to put in your mouth, but what do you want to talk about first? Because here's Coin is here. He's excited for layer 2. Hi, kitty girl.
Well, I guess we could start with the VR aspect and then go into why we needed the layer two and then talk about how awesome our layer two is.
I like that. So this is something that I didn't know. So you're working on the VR stuff first, and it turns out that moving into sort of the DLUX token system and the layer two has come from a need. Like you guys kind of ran into that need with your VR project.
Right. In much the same way that you might be familiar with 3Speak coming out with their layer two platform, the Broca tokens, layerings and whatnot. Um, in general, the VR is too big to put in a text block on the blockchain here.
That
So
makes
we
sense.
have to
Yeah.
have a way to store it. And not only that, but VR is a lot more interactive than, say, a video. So you need to have some microservices in the background. For instance, Discord right now is connecting the two of us together. And even though most of this stuff can be done like P2P, a lot of this, like on Twitch, for instance, is streamed through a server. So VR requires servers to stream content to people and stuff like that. And
Mm-hmm.
really, just to get those kinds of microservices out and decentralized, we needed a token to incentivize that you know functionality.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. And so one of the things is I think a lot of people, especially when you were starting working on DLUX, VR and AR were not this wild, crazy, popular thing. I mean, it was starting to become more known. The original Quest headset was just kind of making its way out. So people were starting to kind of think of VR as this Ready Player One thing. And probably for most people, their interaction with anything to do with AR was like Pokemon Snap. That was probably like the two things that were drawing people into the space. So yeah, here's Gabriel. I actually bullied him into voting your proposal recently. People are saying, "Hey,
I
I've never even heard of DLUX. This is wild." But you guys have been around, so it's time to kind of get people excited for what you're doing. But
Yeah.
yeah, so I mean, you guys for a while there, you were showing off some really crazy, awesome proof of concept stuff where you were, bringing Splinterlands models to life and, some really interesting concepts with the VR side of things. What is your plan for that? Is it just that you want to create a sort of like an editor where anybody can come to the blockchain and create and share assets? Or do you have like a game or an experience in mind for yourself? What's the end goal for that?
Well, I'm definitely more of the platform kind of guy, and Mark is definitely more of the like the experience kind of guy. So the two of us, that's that right brain, left brain. I'm like the how are we going to get this done, and the Mark is the more like why are we going to get this done.
Mm-hmm.
So um, most of the stuff that we worked on and we were doing proof of concepts around were kind of like me as a platform guy, uh, me and Mark were working on like how do we actually put VR on the blockchain? How do we make it secure and manageable, and you're not going to get attacked or cross scripted, and all of this stuff that goes along with building application content on the internet.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so when we figured out our model for doing that, that's why so many of our proof of concepts were like, wow, you can actually put AR on the blockchain, VR on the blockchain. We mirrored Osbitbank. He has a a VR block explorer, and we just not a VR block explorer, but a IPFS block explorer, and we just put that on our D app as well. So really, the pieces that we built to make it work are just they work for everything. There's no reason why nearly any D app can't live inside of DeLuxe. Um, but as far as like what we want our front end to be, um, it's like Ready Player One. We want people to have assets and put those in their own databases so that when they walk into a server or a D app or whatever your room is, like we could have this in a VR space. But you would be able to say like, oh, this person's pretty cool, and click on them and load in their assets if you trust them. You don't want to walk into a room and everybody's dressed as a penis. Um,
Careful, because around
so
here, like
I know where
surprisingly,
it's
you'll get a
going.
lot of you'll get a lot of people in chat who are like, "Oh, I'm sorry. Do you have a penis mod? Am I allowed to beta test the penis mod?"
Right. So So at the same time, like when you walk into a place, a lot of avatars are probably going to be, generic. And if you trust somebody or they say like, I have an adult only avatar or whatever, that would be like, I push on a button, I load your assets in. So it's a little bit different than say like a Decentraland, where everything is, available in their store. There's not that Ready Player One aspect to it where people build their own cool stuff and you go into somebody's garage and they're building Iron Man or whatever it is. So we just want it to be open and as free as possible.
Well, I mean, that's basically the whole idea of blockchain tech. I mean, at the end of the day, I would like to see, healthy businesses and, the ability to monetize what you're doing and create something on top of a platform. But yeah, you're right. At the heart of it, at the core of it, the idea is that it is peer to peer, it is decentralized. I shouldn't have to go through Facebook's owned Quest store to disseminate stuff that I'm creating, especially if it's my intention that it should be free and shared and, part of the experience. So this is really cool. And last week, I actually was a guest on Danny. Danny Coyne does a crypto meetup in VR, and I know you've been a guest on his show as well. And it was quite funny because quite a few people after when I was discussing some of the possibilities with Hive and why as a blockchain it's really attractive in a lot of ways, I had quite a few people saying, "Oh wait, what's this about the VR? What's this about the DLUX? Can you tell me more about that?" And I know actually some of them are watching on some of our alternate platforms today, and want to be forwarded this video after. So I think this is really cool to kind of put this out in the world, even though I actually think it's second most exciting compared to what you're doing with your layer 2 stuff. But the VR stuff, we've been talking it up so long, it's really nice to kind of get some focus on this. And we got some time, so we're gonna talk about it a little bit. I just want to pop over to the chat because I see lots of people are saying hello. Yeah, we're already talking about voting for proposals and stuff. I see David ATS is here. And everybody has seized upon the penises in chat. But yeah, Mark is, he's kind of had some interjections. He was popping in and adding to what you were saying, which was, what would it be like if you could load DLUX assets into any HTML5 web app? And, for the non-techie people listening, of which there are many, that is a really cool and interesting topic because for you're beholden to the people who are creating front ends, apps, websites, things like that. And if VR content or AR content is made easier to integrate, then more people will do it. And a lot of people are starting to wake up to the fact that VR and AR content is really freaking cool. And there's a lot of really interesting possibilities with it. So the easier that it can be deployed and the easier it is to share assets. And, I'm sure coming back to the token thing, a lot of this even comes back to, well, what if I am building cool stuff and I want to find a way to monetize it? Or what if I am building cool stuff and I want to tie a blog to it? Or maybe I'm making 3D models that I want to turn into NFTs. I mean, there's so many possibilities for VR and AR content to be tied into experiences, to be tied into what an end user is doing, whether they're technical or not, or even, to be tied into financial aspects. So the token side of it is essentially comes from a place of, hey, we want to make sure that we're decentralizing these VR things. People are making cool stuff. We want to have lots of nodes and have it, in the ledger all around the world. So the token side of things is for people who would be running basically DLUX nodes and helping support the infrastructure. Is that the token side of your VR?
Yes. So the token side of our VR is because we have Hive and it doesn't have smart contracts in a traditional sense. We have really basic contracts that aren't necessarily smart. For instance, one of the smart contracts on Hive is an escrow transfer, where you have a third party who is an agent to a transfer and they can return or deliver the money depending on whatever circumstances there are.
Right.
So in addition, like other platforms, so say like Decentraland, if you want to issue an NFT on Ethereum or buy an asset in Decentraland, just the fees that you're paying to the blockchain right now are like $10 minimum.
They're wild. I remember the first time we did an NFT showroom exhibition in Crypto Voxels. And I remember at the time, just to register myself as a named avatar, And this was when prices were quite depressed. It was like $2.50 just to name, to put my name above my avatar. And I mean, I do still enjoy ETH for a lot of reasons. But it was just like, there's gotta be a better way. And I mean, we know that Hive exists. We know that the feeless, fast, and scalable aspect is here. But yeah, there's definitely some functionality that is intensely missing. And so we do have second layer solutions, but in terms of decentralization, when they started, they weren't really meant to be super decentralized. They were basically meant to be, here's a turnkey tool set. You want to create a token that you need now, and you want to tie it to a front end. Bing, bang, boom, here you go. And we have that solution, and that's okay. But it's not, as you say, it's not going to function in the place of a base, a sort of contract that at heart really uses the blockchain properly and that is properly decentralized. So for a lot of people joining, there's so many more people jumping in now. I could see more people on the other streams. I can see a bunch of people are living it up in Discord. So I guess this is a good time to point out that as you've been solving this solution for yourself, you've also realized that you can solve this solution for anyone that wants to use it. You can create this layer 2 solution that really uses the blockchain well, and you can create what is going to be a DEX to go with it. So this is pretty exciting, and it's driven by need, which I always think is really important, because if you are someone trying to accomplish something and you need a tool that doesn't exist, your experiences learning about it and then building it are probably going to mirror a lot of other people who need this same thing but don't have the maybe the skills or the know-how. So this is really cool, and this is where your focus has shifted. You got a couple proposals in the works that we're going to try and get some people voting for today. But do you want to talk a little bit about DLUX as sort of a second layer solution and the DEX?
Sure. So there's probably some people here who are more familiar with terminology like a distributed or autonomous organization or a DAO. And in general, every account on Hive we are using as like an executor of contracts, if you want to call it that. But what I've done is I built a DAO, and what that is if you want to see like Hive Engine does one thing and it issues tokens and all of this stuff, it is effectively the centralized version of a DAO, where if everybody who is doing this kind of thing where you're saying like this person sent this money or this person sent this transaction, what comes after this? This is a way to say that this person over here is responsible for that. And when that person signs a transaction on a blockchain, everybody else can see that because they're all reading Hive, and then they can award them the internal tokens, or they can subtract their collateral tokens if the right thing doesn't happen. So it's a way to get an organization of people who are all interested in one thing, like their community, and it can work for any community out there, that they are doing what their community demands of them. And of course, it's extendable to whatever that community wants to do. So if you want to put smart contracts on there, yesterday somebody was saying that they won a bet and the person wouldn't pay. So you need to have like Oracle type things on there. These transactions could say the group of people are holding a smart contract open, and now since it's a blockchain, you don't necessarily have that Oracle problem solved. So you can elect some people in your group to say, did Donald Trump win or did Biden win? And if 2 out of 3 or 3 out of 5 people said Trump won or Biden won, then that would be the Oracle solution in this community in your smart contract platform. And because only 3 or 4 people have to do it instead of the entire blockchain, it can be a lot cheaper than other models.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. And actually, Mark's got he's dropping in some visuals in the chat. If you're watching somewhere else, I don't have that hooked up to the video overlay, so I apologize. But you should be hanging out in the Discord for chat anyways. You can chat from Twitch, you can chat from YouTube. They don't all hook up exactly the way I'd want, but I'm a loser, so you get used to it. There are so many people who are spamming on Twitch that are definitely bots, so I'm just going to ignore them for now. But so, sort of for the layman here, because we have some laymen in chat, and then of course we always have people who kind of stumble upon this after. And David is getting down the theoretical politics road, which we're gonna totally avoid at this point. But one of the
If
things,
everybody in your to answer David's question, if everybody in your network wants to lie, then you don't have a network worth building.
yeah,
And that's the
oh,
problem with any blockchain that you have.
yes, absolutely. But so just quickly for me to kind of touch on some of the stuff that you just said, for some of the laymen that are going to come here later, the crux of a smart contract is basically a set of rules that the blockchain will follow that don't necessarily require any human input. And this is kind of important for people to understand because, like you touched on a really great example, which was, hey, some people locked a bet into the blockchain and then the guy welched. So in this case, you have something that's been locked into the blockchain. You've used the blockchain in a way to sort of immortalize and show everybody this transparent bet that was made. But there was no rules enforcing that bet. You needed a human to say, yep, I lost, and to send those tokens forward. So in this case, if you had something functioning in terms of a smart contract, the smart contract would say, based on the information that I get about who wins, I will either return the bet money to the person who paid it, or I will give it to the winner of the bet. And so that way the blockchain's saying, hey, people are a little bit shitty sometimes. We're not going to worry about you. I'm going to take care of it based on some rules that are written in code. And so the part that you're talking about that really is at the crux of a lot of smart contracts is, how does the blockchain get that information? I've got a set of rules. I need to act on information. You gave me the rules. I know what I need. How do I get it? Well, if you're the blockchain, you don't go out researching. You don't go compare peer-reviewed articles. And so this is where an oracle comes from. And when you think about the Hive blockchain and you think about the way that our witness structure is set up, if you think about the top 20, if you think about the consensus that we need to run a hard fork, that's kind of the way that this works. If you have enough of these nodes that are agreeing on something, the code goes, aha, I get it. Those are the rules that I follow. So in an oracle system, you're saying, hey, we could build a small community around whatever this contract is, whatever rules are built for our community, and then we can appoint our own oracles inside it. That's really, really valuable. It's incredibly valuable because it's a way to sort of use code effectively, but it's also a way to make sure that you can build a strong community that has influence on what that code does. And I think a lot of people are waking up to why this is like the most important part of smart contracts, and why smart contracts, especially for finance issues, let's be realistic, are really valuable, because we don't fucking know what banks are doing. We don't know what, we can't always trust someone to pay us, or, we might be thinking about running out on paying someone else. There are a lot of situations where a smart contract or decentralized finance is absolutely the way to go. So I'm going to quickly come back to chat and just see if we've missed any important questions. David's actually talking about creating AI oracles, which is something interesting. I don't know. I've not seen. Have you kind of gone into thinking much about AI, or are you more interested in kind of creating ways to empower people to set up smart contracts and nodes?
This will probably surprise almost everyone around here, but I'm a member of the Artificial Intelligence Ethics Board for the IEEE.
Wait. Does that mean you're going to protect us when Skynet activates? Are you going to go out there and be like, no, bad Skynet?
I mean, that thing, Skynet may or may not happen, but I think that having this human-centric blockchain, especially like proof of brain or something like proof of brain, is the biggest, how do you say, retardant for a Skynet? Because in the end, like, what is valuable to society at large is your eyeballs or your ears on content. And I mean, that's everything. That's like how you choose what food you eat at a supermarket to who you have sex with. That's like absolutely everything is this attention market. And proof of brain really will help instruct computers, AI, what humans care about and how they can survive with us.
That's a really, really good point, because how many times have we seen now where somebody builds a neural net and the whole purpose is the neural net's going to learn and it's going to iterate and it's going to make itself better, and you kind of let it learn, and the results come out not what a person would ever do, even though it's being fed a ton of data and information from, people's behavior, or it's, collecting up what it can find out there on the internet. I mean, every chatbot turns into a Nazi, and we haven't nailed it. We can have AI that thinks like a human, but only in as much as it's observed a human. And at the end of the day, we don't necessarily, I personally don't, and this is a topic that we talk about on CyberBuzz a lot, because we're all just waiting for the day that Arnold steps out of the bubble and appears. But, I personally don't actually want to live in a world where the algorithm, has already decided exactly what's perfect for me and lays it out on my bed in the morning, and I'm deprived of that point of living. But I also do think the Internet of Things and the possibility of AI is really important. So I think you touched on it, that humans that still have oversight and control over this system and get to use these tools is the most important aspect. And so Hive really does kind of play into that. Hive gets beat up time and again, probably because nobody really explains it very well. And as soon as you have a one-on-one conversation with someone about, like, here's why I love Hive. I don't care if you buy the tokens. I don't, just for a second, let me tell you why this is something we need. People get it. They totally get it. So in terms of what you're doing, wanting to talk about, let's tie some tokens to smart contracts, let's talk about making oracles, let's have a decentralized exchange, let's do all this stuff, and let's do it in a place on a blockchain where people are already used to the idea of an attention market, of proof of brain. That's already sort of a core value around Hive. So how do we make that better? How do we make it more granular? How does it enhance your experience, versus, say, ETH, for example, or another smart contract platform?
Yeah. Like Ethereum is just turning into like whale-fi instead of DeFi. You really, I travel a lot, and there's a lot of people around who, they don't make more than $200 or $300 in a month, and you're not going to onboard the world onto that platform, especially when the fees are only going to get more expensive with more use.
Mm-hmm.
So the scaling problem is number one. And if you want to change the world, where it's like the cell phone didn't change the world until it was in everybody's hands. And once that happened, then the world changed really fast. So if we can build a platform where it can be in everybody's hands all at once, it'll change the world really quickly. And yeah, there's a censorship resistant area of Hive where I don't hang out. But it's nice to see that a lot of those posts just don't make money because, that's what most people are around Hive. Not Hive. They're not here to make money, or if they are, they're, whatever. But you're trying to be rewarded inside of your community, and that tokens that you get from that proof of brain is a way to say, like, this is something that community wants to see more of.
Yeah.
And I think that's the feedback loop we all need.
It's very true. And poor Gabriel's in chat going, yeah, that's me. And censorship, and I agree, because you know what, Gabriel, you tackle a lot of topics that are uncomfortable, or that are, for a lot of people, it's not the type of stuff that you want to just kind of browse through while you're sitting on the shitter kind of thing, right? And that's okay. That's not a bad thing. We still need people like you doing the deep dives that you do. But, when we talk about an attention market, I personally am always a little happier to see that those aren't necessarily the things that are trending 1,000% of the time. And I know you're going to say, well, that's because you got your head in the sand, but it's not. It's just, we can't, the problem with the internet and the problem with the attention market in some cases is we have been trained, especially by traditional social media, we have been trained that outrage and anger and disagreement and conflict drive engagement. And this is something we've talked about on CyberBuzz a lot too. We've had entire shows where we're like, how do we build a community that flourishes and nourishes itself and offers something, valuable to the world at large without, kind of reverting to the tactics that we've been taught by these stupid fucking algorithms at Facebook and Twitter, which is, oh, there's a bunch of conversation on this, I'm going to push it into feeds. And it's usually because it's something either remarkably idiotic or remarkably divisive. And so rather than the fact that I actually really do want to see this cool science piece that also has a cute puppy in it, what I see instead is two complete morons arguing over a TMZ video. And that's really incredibly frustrating. And so, as you say, like building a community here, or at least helping communities find each other and, create sort of these really valuable feedback loops that hopefully build communities full of interesting content and valuable connections that are real and not just, I hate you, you trumpet, and I hate you, you libtard snowflake. It would be really nice to kind of have that become the forefront of what's leading people to kind of hang out together on the internet. That'd be great. It'd be real nice.
Gabriel here also said like everybody's friendly on Hive, and that's one of those things. It's not like passing somebody in the street and just like flipping somebody off. That person can straight up downvote you on every one of your posts, like some people here have probably found out. So I mean, friendliness here is kind of encouraged. And as far as like traditional media goes, I like to say like I don't usually start to believe something until it starts to get censored. So I mean, at least here on Hive, I don't have to worry about something gets censored, and I have a lot more trust in the community that's putting out and curating the content.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, the censorship thing is tough because I totally do value that aspect of Hive. And I know we're getting a little bit off the DLUX topic, and I'll try and swing it back to your stuff so we can pump those tires a little bit more, and we will. But certainly the censorship thing for me is important as an aspect of Hive. I believe that social media should be granular. It should be user-driven. There should be a lot of options for you to build a space that is incredibly engaging and in a lot of ways makes your life better for having these crazy internet people in your life. And what that means is moderation. That's literally what that means, is it means moderation. But at the same time, I want my moderation to end where your rights begin, and your rights to be able to say something, even if it is an absolute utter lie of a dumpster fire. They exist. And so this has been something that a lot of people are flipping their ever-loving shit about, is when we say, hey, P.S., all you dudes that are being deplatformed, Hive is here, come on over. And, there's quite a few people who have said, well, you want to build a insurrectionist mob on your blockchain. And it has nothing to do with that. And freedom of speech is not freedom of consequence. And consensus still comes into play. As you were saying, there absolutely could be the whole community bands together and downvotes you and, drives you off. It has happened before. But even in the future, there's a good chance that, I'm going to build a front end for my tea cozy community. You haven't been on my show before, but knitted tea cozies are a big example around here. We use them for everything.
Are you going to have a knitted mittens Bernie tea cozy?
Oh my God, yes! We have to copy that pattern. I'm seeing it everywhere. I was looking around this morning on Craigslist because, I'm going to share with you a fat girl secret. You and me and the dozens and dozens of people watching. I look on Craigslist for girl guides who sell the mint chocolate cookies because I don't have any young children in my family, nor do I tolerate young children. But those cookies are fucking amazing. So I was trolling around on Craigslist to see if I could find one of these people selling girl guide cookies. And the picture on the listing was a Bernie tucked up in the cold, surrounded by a girl guide cookie in Canada. She's like, Bernie will sit out in the cold until we sell all of these boxes. I was like, I'm gonna buy them all myself. This is fucking amazing. This is the best meme I've ever seen. I eat all these cookies.
Mittens Bernie is reuniting the world.
Yes, he really fucking is. But okay, so Mittens Bernie is gonna be the pinned post in my knitted tea cozy community. We're gonna make a Mittens Bernie tea cozy. But what I foresee happening and what I'm hoping happens more, and I'm actually really hoping that DLUX is gonna make this go a little quicker, is that people start creating these sort of niche front ends, which is I'm not gonna see whatever it is that isn't in my tea cozy community, and people will start treating Hive as places to build communities and embracing that moderation aspect without actually taking away anybody else's ability. It's as simple as, hey, you know what? This doesn't fit this website, so it's just going to disappear from this website. Where is it? In the totally public, completely backed up, decentralized ledger that you can view through a block explorer or through a, catch-all front end. Boom. No problem. But what I'd like to see is these communities coming and taking responsibility for building their own spaces. And the only way to get them to do that is to make it easier. And honestly, it sounds awful, but a lot of these communities start with free. And I think that is a problem because nothing is free to create. No infrastructure is free to create. That's why you've got proposals, which you should drop in the chat right now.
Okay.
But you know what I mean?
Help, Mark.
Good man, Mark. But at the same time, somebody has to step up and do it. Somebody has to be first, because for a lot of these big communities to come, they're not looking to spend money because they're just a place that people gather. And one thing we know is where people gather, commerce and marketplaces evolve. But we have to get people who are gathering in other places to decide to gather on Hive. And unfortunately, if that is, you got to pay a big bunch of money to set up your own front end or set up your own token or set up all your accounts, it's not going to happen. And so for DLUX, this is something that you guys are trying to kind of tackle, because we have some boutique services. We have some turnkey services where you pay a fee and it's, here it is, you've got it. And that's okay. But that's not going to work for everyone. And it's certainly not going to work for masses of people who are looking to switch without, having an upfront financial commitment. That's the reality. So,
right. And not to say that just community aspect here, but like a business aspect. For instance, in California, they're probably going to ban Uber in some way, shape, or form at some ridiculous point. Right? And we can build that kind of system on blockchain, maintain some semblance of privacy around what's going on, not have an overlord in Silicon. Like, for instance, if you're in Brazil and you take an Uber, 25% of that fare doesn't go to the people in Brazil. It goes to Silicon Valley, where they're trying to fight the system in California. I mean, these communities can be hyper-local versions of Uber that you just pull up on a web thing, and you don't even have to download the app because of the way we have our structure set out. So this is like basically the way that I see business being done in the future, is just like make these token ecosystems with low fees and just interact with them. Yep. And yeah, why not do it all?
Well, this has obviously been a struggle, is corporations that are successful suck up all the resources, and the more resources they suck up, the more dominant they become. And this is not a hate on big business, but what we have realized is eventually that cycle gains so much momentum, there is no stopping it. There is no competition. And that's the point where, the rest of our community and people who want to, build their own thing or do something different or kind of buck the trend that a corporation has created, they can't. It just doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. And so, yeah, like here's Mark and chat going, fork our code, launch your own token, do the thing. And that's the beauty of Hive is, you absolutely fucking can. But this to me is another reason why people are probably really going to support DLUX, right? Everybody in chat?
Right. Everybody, right? Go for it.
Because once it's done the first time, everybody has input into it, because you're doing this all free open source? Right?
Oh yeah, everything I have ever done is FOSS.
Good man, both of you. But so with that being said, again, we come back to, well, it's not free the first time. It is in that you're offering it up to the world free. But I mean, you're developing on the road. So you're in Brazil now. You just picked up and pieced the fuck out as this all started up in the States, hey?
Yeah, the day Tom Hanks said he got COVID, I was like, next day ticket, I'm going.
So this has been kind of an exciting adventure for you too, because you're getting sort of an experience of, okay, I want to work on these projects that I'm working on. I'm not necessarily tied to one geographical location. So I can start looking for places where my money goes further, where I can have more time to develop. How's this experience been? Forget about in a COVID world, because fuck the COVID world and, this new
I
normal.
have managed my COVID world just great. I mean, in the last year, I've learned Spanish, and I can definitely understand Portuguese more than I can be understood in Portuguese. But yeah, I'm getting around.
But so this is exciting for you. And so this is something that, before we didn't always, a lot of developers didn't really think about. You often think about getting hired in-house, which is, I'll put it out there. I work in-house. I do web development in-house for a company, along with a bunch of other shit. And I like that. I like being employed by a company and going to an office. It's not ideal, but certainly this last year with COVID and everything that's happening, you realize I can code from anywhere. I learned to code more. I can change my expectations on what living costs are. And also I could soak up a bunch of sun and look at butts on the beach. Like,
oh, there's so many butts.
That's perfect. It's perfect. So, I mean, I'm kind of excited to see this, because I think you're in this sort of really unique space that, you're solving a problem that you need to solve for your own needs. And I'm sorry, I don't know if you guys can hear the drilling in the background, but there's some drilling going on in my garage downstairs. That's not a euphemism. There's legitimately some drilling, so I apologize. I'm going to be building some stuff later today. I will update making stuff next week. I'm very excited. I'm building a reloading bench in my garage because, post-COVID world, the only thing that's going to matter is how much ammo you have. But I'm not even joking you, even a little bit. But so that aside, this is cool because now you've gone to a place which, you can live on a lot less money, which is exciting. You are feeling a lot less of the stress that many of the more dense populations in, say, big cities are being subjected to in terms of curfew and rules. And
I'm in a huge city and I can still get on a bus without a mask. It's pretty interesting here.
Yeah, but you know what? That's okay, because it's down to personal responsibility. We like that on my show. Personal responsibility. If you're super fucking worried about COVID, you either put a mask on or you don't get on the bus. That's what you do.
Yeah.
That's how you handle it, is you look at your own personal risk factors and then you decide, how am I going to... Qua, you're not married to Krim. What the fuck? Qua, you won't even talk to me. Qua won't even have a voice chat with me. So
I've never heard his voice.
I will say, I'm just going to take a quick minute to kind of break off here, because there are a ton of people watching on the other streams. The Twitch stream, people are having... Hi, Mr. Fatface. You made it for a live show. I see a ton of people on Twitch, and they are dropping 12,000 fucking emojis. So I'm going to just ignore them. But I do see some people hopping into YouTube. I see more and more people are hopping into Discord. People are watching on MSP Waves. My name is Crimson Clad, and on every Saturday, right around now, whatever time it is for you, wherever you are in the world, for some of you, if you're like Marco, it's, I don't know, middle of the evening. If you're west coast of Canada, for me, it's noon. Wherever you might be, I do a show called CyberBuzz, and we talk a lot about what's going on around the Hive blockchain. And when I started this show, it used to really be explaining blockchain. It used to be a layman's explanation for how blockchain worked and for how aspects of Hive worked. And over the past couple of years, it has... Quas is down drilling in my garage. That's very rude. Over the past couple of years, it's evolved. We talk about some more kind of wider, broader aspects of blockchain and Hive, and we also do music and art and VR. And so this is a nice option today because we have Steve Disregard Fiat, hanging out with us today, talking about DLUX. And so, for a lot of you, you may have been around since the legacy code base, which is my polite name for Steam. You've been around for 4, 5 more years, whatever. I don't know. You've just lived in the blockchain for decades. And you have still never heard of DLUX. So that's the idea. Is today we're gonna talk about this. We're gonna share this video around. We're gonna get people a little more excited for what the DLUX guys are building and maybe what you guys could build with it. So not to immediately bounce us back to the VR stuff, but I think a lot of people. Shut up, David. A boot. Do you? I have a question, Steve. Do you think I have an accent?
Your accent is far from standard Canadian.
I don't have an God, I don't have an accent. You all have accents. I'm on the West Coast. Okay, I'll ask. So do you think people from like California have an accent? Do they have an accent to you? I don't even know where you're from literally, normally.
I grew up in California, and
See,
I
don't
mean,
think you
I
have
was
an
in the
accent.
Navy, and as soon as you get into the Navy, everybody beats the accent out of you. But then when people get drunk, you're like, that person's from Texas, and that person's from Massachusetts, and that person's from New York. But yeah, like as we get older, we kind of just, get exposed to more media and drop our like, oh heys and
Oh,
what
how
you
you
knows.
doing? Oh, Lord Lavadaco, you fill your boots by. Yeah, no, that's like Eastern Canada. West Coast. I don't have an accent. I'm the only person in the world
Yeah,
without an accent, actually. It's
as
the
far
rest
as
of
I
you.
can tell, West Coast Canada is just northern Washington.
Except really much nicer looking. I'm sorry. I crossed the border. Well, I don't anymore. That was the before times. But when I would cross the border, you know when you hit the States, because the trees just go away and the highways are just so wide and flat and everything is gray. So, sorry. Love you, USA. Keeping the borders closed, though. You just stay down there for now. But anyways, circling back around to VR, what for a lot of people who are in the chat right now and a lot of people who are watching on some of the other platforms, they are interested in what they can do with this. And so DLUX as the token, as the DEX, as the layer 2 system, that's going to impact them. But for a lot of people, it probably won't be the thing that they're going to use. Maybe the DEX, but they're not probably going to create their own token system. Just the majority. However, do they want to come say hi? Do they want to
No,
lean in and no? Does she have a butt? You want to butts on stream?
oh no, she's just like wearing less clothes than I am.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Does she want to take a run through? I mean, I'll probably get banned on traditional social media, but the beauty of Vim and Theta is they are blockchain based and I will still exist. So, if you've got a lovely dancing friend who would like to entertain everyone right now, you can share with the class if you like.
Oh yeah, you can follow her on Instagram.
Okay, fair enough. So, all right. Hi, Pig. Hey, guys. So what we were saying is a lot of people are probably not going to create their own token. They're probably not going to use their own layer 2 solution. They're going to look for somebody else to create something. But the VR side of things, there's a great chance that this is something that they are going to want to work with, experience, check out. It's already working, it's already running, and a lot of people don't realize that. So do you want to talk a little bit about what somebody could do with their Hive account and with DLUX
Oh yeah.
right now?
Mark is probably going to drop a video link in the chat. But what we did is, with decentralization in mind, and also because we're super poor, there's this platform on the internet called Glitch, and it's kind of like a place where you can go and test your APIs and learn how to code JavaScript. And there's like a little button where you can push, like, come help me. And, the entire Glitch community can just see a message that says this person can't load an asset or something like that.
Oh,
And it's
it's
just
like
super
a
helpful.
learning, but also a public shaming? Or is it like the easy button from Staples where you smash it and somebody's like, I'm coming, I'll help you?
Yeah, if Mark or I ever have a problem, I'm like, I don't know what I mistyped. Yeah, we just share it and whatnot. So Mark dropped a video link, and what we did, because building this VR stuff was like really hard, we put out like, codes and whatnot. But at the end of the day, it was way worse than say like Unity or whatever. So we built this thing, and it lets you build and package your VR as a D app. So say you have an asset that you might be working on in Blender or SketchUp or
Right.
whatever can spit out like a VR asset. You just take it on your desktop, drag and drop it. It loads it into IPFS for you. It populates the application with the model, and then you can go into the inspector. It loads up a little inspector in the window, and you can say like, okay, I want this asset here. The arrows pop out of it, and you pull the asset with your mouse, and you put it in a place, and you click save. So you can build your static scene with the assets that you bring to this little platform, not knowing how to code. And then after that, you just push the I want to post it to Hive button, type in like, this is my VR showroom or whatever you've built, push publish, and the keychain thing pops up on the side, and you're like, all right, publish to Hive. And that's it. That's how you build and package a D app that's a VR thing. And because this is Glitch, all of this is completely open source. And if you're like, well, I don't want to build a VR thing, and I don't want to wait for Disregard Fiat and Mark to build an AR packager or something like that, you can just go copy and throw your own code in there, and then say, hey, community, not only did I build this cool AR application, but here's the builder that I used to build it. So we're hoping that triggers like, that snowball effect where the things that you can build with this really easy just like blow up. So yeah, because this is COVID, we can just say this is like a menu that I built here, and I can pay with Hive, and here's the new reality. Yep, and it's all free. Just have a Hive account, and you're good to go.
That's so cool. Hey, I see Revised Sociology's jumped in. I said hi to Pig. I don't know who else I haven't said hi to. There's plenty of you kicking around, and I swear to God, I think I actually hooked up. I think I actually hooked up one of my Twitch streams, the wrong chat, because I could see Cly on YouTube, but the Twitch stream is getting a little weird over on the other side. So I'm gonna say there might be some wrong things happening, and we're just gonna leave that where it is. But so for people who don't know, who haven't figured out VR or haven't dipped into VR yet because it's scary, it's not. And this is a really cool option because we know for a lot of people, Hive is the gateway. You're not weirder today, Inertia. What the fuck is happening? The chat in here is actually fairly normal. I mean, Hive is full of totally normal people, so we should be completely unsurprised, right? But for real, it's completely normal in chat and weird everywhere else. So this is strange, and I'm not sure what's happening. But that's fine. So yeah, you can work on that in chat. You guys give it your best shot. Give the old college try. But the reason that I bring this up is, so for a lot of you, we know that Hive is a gateway drug. And that's a terrible thing to say, but it's the absolute 1000% truth. For a lot of people, it's their first time trying out blogging. It's their first time trying out creating video content because they realized, holy shit, DLUX has what do you call it? 3Speak has a big fucking vote. I'm going to try and make a video. It's the first time taking a crack at financial content because Leo's exciting. NFT showroom is accessible, so it's the first time that they're going to try and create some art. Like, Hive is a gateway for people to try new things, which may or may not be good or bad, but let's say it's good because for a lot of people, it's their first sort of toe dip into crypto even. So now, all of a sudden, Hive is actually becoming potentially a gateway for creating in VR because a lot of people are like, I don't have a headset, I don't know what to do with it. I mean, I can go in my browser, but making it is confusing. Unity, you have to download a fuckload of stuff. I mean, I do some creation in Unity, and it's not a simple learning curve at all, even the tiniest bit. So for me, when I'm hearing you say, hey, it's browser based, you drag and drop, you move things around, and then you say go. For a lot of people, that's going to be a really exciting thing for just experimenting with what's possible. And so for a lot of people, they don't necessarily realize that the internet is full of free VR stuff already. And so, SketchUp you mentioned is a Google service. They have the SketchUp warehouse has just every possible thing you can imagine that you can download for free. And one of the cool things that we've been talking about on this show even, and actually I mentioned to you the other day in DM, is for people who are using headsets and who are using things like Tilt Brush, which are art, I don't know, like it's like a 3D virtual reality painting program, you can export models that you create in VR and paint in VR. You can export them as a 3D model, which potentially you and I could sit here. I could put this on my face. I could draw you in 3D in Tilt Brush, export you, and then upload you to the Hive blockchain in like minutes. This is fucking wild. It's wild. And I think people are going to really start getting excited when they realize some of the possibilities with this, for sure. And so for me, I've been bothering you. I think one of the first times that I really bothered you about VR was way back when I wanted to create a 3D photosphere that I could load into Hive to take people into some of my travel content. Like,
oh yeah,
years ago, I think I sent you a picture from Salton, California, which was in my first year on Steam, actually. So I mean, there's still so much that I want to do with it, and I'm going to start playing around with it as well. And so I guess I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit. With your timelines, you know, knowing that you're going to be building regardless of how your proposals go, but the proposals are going to determine the speed and efficacy and testing of your code. Knowing you got a block of time that you're going to be working on the finance and token side of DLUX, I desperately want to kind of build some of DLUX's functionality or displaying some of DLUX's functionality into NFT Showroom. And I keep bothering you about this, and we keep kind of talking about it in the background. But for me, this is one of the most exciting places where blockchain and sort of crypto and VR meet. Other than, you know, the meetups is crypto art. And for a lot of people who are coming in and they're just starting to kind of wrap their head around the idea of, I made some art, I'm tokenizing some art, now I'm getting into crypto art. Digitally displaying it is one thing, but actually having it in a VR gallery or a VR experience or world it's a mind blaster, Russell. It's fucking mind blasting. So for me, I'm wondering, oh gosh, did you freeze? Guys, I think he froze. Steve, are you dead? Uh-oh. We might have lost him, guys. He's looking heckin' frozen. We might have to kick him and bring him back. Either that, or he's doing the world's best staring contest. In which case he's won 17 times over. It's very deep thought. I agree. Okay, you know what? That is fine. I killed Steve. I did. Guys, this is a perfect time. I'm going to play a quick track, and I'm going to try to rescue Disregard Fiat. We murdered him. We lost him in the VR abyss. But that's okay. We're an hour into the show. And we've got an hour left to go. So apparently I killed Steve. We're going to try, look at him, he's frozen. We're going to try and rescue him. I'm going to play a quick track. So one of the bands that I talk about, oh, did we full up lost him? Yeah, he's super dead. Oh, yep. No. Ah, wait, I heard him.
Yeah, I'm back.
Oh, okay. You froze. Okay, listen, we're gonna, what happened? Did things get hot?
My computer just decided it had enough of being in this hot room.
So earlier he was actually showing me that one of his little adapters is melting because it's so hot there right now.
Yeah, this thing was just like burning.
Jesus Christ. Okay, well, we'll see. I was going to quickly jump off and play some music, but you know what? That's fine. We won't. You're back. You're alive. I've resurrected you with my magical powers. It was absolutely me and something I did, clearly, and nothing to do with you, being technically competent. And don't play track. Yeah, I know everybody hates my music, but I don't care. That's what this show is all about, is me torturing all of you. So, I forget what I was saying. Something to do with yada, 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 art, tokens, NFT, experiencing art in a blockchain world in VR. What do you think about that? Do you think that this is going to become the norm for something like art is forget it. I'm not going to go to a physical, I'm not going to get on the bus and then go into a physical location where someone can breathe on me. I'm going to go float around in an endless starless void and like fly through a token and experience it in 3D. Like, is this the future of art?
I mean, yes, but also no. I think that's definitely going to be how some people like. If you're a gamer and you spend your time in front of a computer, I think there's going to definitely be a future where you're going to be more in the computer than you are like in front of it. Um, but if you're talking like the real world and say I don't want to go to this art gallery or something like that, it's just going to be much more of a reality overlay where you walk into a place and instead of them increasing their carbon footprint or whatever thing that they care about, they can have digital art and your Apple glasses or whatever you have with your phone, and you can do your Pokemon Go type experience where you bring a lot more of the digital asset into real life, and it's not a computer that stops you from interacting with other people.
Which is honestly, I actually think as Black Mirror as it sounds, that to me is the best of all worlds. Outside of that whole like we're gonna record everything and be unsure of our reality, and if I block you, you're gonna get a fucking pixel map distributed over you in person. Like,
yeah. Some of those Black Mirror things are scary, but they inform us. Like these are things that people have thought about and are like, what if that would be that's not where I want to live. So that's kind of the important thing. Like Hive is censorship free. Maybe that's if you have Facebook VR, you're going to be the pixelated versions of somebody walking around when you get deplatformed. And
Jesus. Yeah, it's a great point. Kitty Girl was just mentioning that the NFT showroom at Hive Fest was really epic. We are going to be I'm actually working on a custom world for new events and ongoing displays that will be refreshing. But certainly one of the things that I can't speak for the whole team at NFT Showroom, I personally am really pushing for sort of integration of personal galleries so that, when you come to Kitty Girl's token page or Swoop's token page, that you'll actually be able to kind of click and look through like top 5 featured art in a standardized gallery view, that everybody who uses NFT Showroom will just have that. It'll just be a thing that we can load into our site and help display people's art in. That's my big dream, and I feel like we can make it happen. So that's one thing. But I just noticed Carson has popped into chat. Hey, Carson. He's really interested in the layer 2 aspect. I kind of forced him to come here today because he's working on some gaming stuff and we'll need some tokens and sort of he's really excited in the layer 2 aspect to DLUX. So he can kind of go back through some of the show later in the replay, or we may end up talking about it a bit more towards the end of the show.
Right.
But so for me, kind of coming back to the VR, AR kind of thing, that would be, I think, one of the best, the best possible outcomes in the near future. And one of the things that I think is really interesting, and one of the really great discussions that I got into at Hive Fest, was the idea that if we take blockchain and we compare it to sort of an abstract concept, blockchain is very much like memory. Except you can't lose it. It doesn't fade. It doesn't go away. That ledger exists, and you can come back and you can re-experience things that happened way back in the ledger, forever. As long as this network is running, those memories are locked in the blockchain. And so there's quite a few people who have started doing things like writing letters or communications or diaries that they would like to make permanent. And so we talked about the proof of brain thing earlier and what people want to see more of, but there is sort of this attractiveness for a social blockchain that you can kind of lock in these things that are intensely personal to you if you want them to be transparent. And you don't necessarily care that somebody else is reading them for a payout or, for right now or for community building. But the idea that if right now, as I'm experiencing life, as you and I are talking, I write it down in the blockchain, and 20 years from now, somebody builds some sort of VR or AR experience that could go back and pull from certain days or certain memories or moments in the blockchain, that you could create a really incredible and interesting experience with this giant database of memory. Because
Oh
this
yeah.
is a blockchain that, whether we like it or not, we said it was a gateway for people for content creation. It is a lot of personal experiences, it is a lot of memories. Imagine if you could start potentially encrypting it or whatever, and then having a front end or an experience or a dApp built around moving back through these memories and potentially even tying that to a location in the world
Oh
or
yeah.
a timeline event. Like, and that kind of blew my mind. But at the same time, what a perfect thing that Hive is really suited for. I mean, is that a little bit wild? Do you think that's kind of, are
I don't
we?
think that's wild at all. I know Tony Robinson, the what would you call him? Like a personal embetterment guru.
Yeah.
Well, well, anyway, he's trying to build an AI version of himself so that you can go and talk to him and say like, "Hey, Tony Robinson, how do I get better in life?" And he will guide you specifically in how to get better in life, and he'll remember your conversations and stuff like that, and you can feel like you talk to him even though Tony Robbins, sorry, wrong guy,
Yeah.
is in the other place. So
But I mean, that in itself is scary. Like, I mean, there are some people that I certainly would not want creating a Metatron version of themselves that you could go and like talk to their talking head. I don't want advice from some of these people.
well,
So
that's
this
that's
is,
why you just don't go and visit Axis AI. I mean, it's that easy.
yeah, no, I know. And actually I saw, it's quite funny. It's making the rounds right now that Microsoft actually did just try to put a patent on creating AI versions or chatbots of people after they're dead by using basically it's that Black Mirror episode. It's like somebody thought up that Black Mirror episode and Microsoft was like, neat. And they
There's a
just
market for that.
yoink. Yoink! We own all your fucking data anyways. We already have your operating system. We've seen everything you typed, every video you've watched, every conversation you've had. We've seen your calendar and date book. You know what? And I just think like I don't know. And this is a recurring topic on this show is there are so many incredible possibilities and also so many terrifyingly horrible possibilities. Because imagine for a second that your dead brother was like, hey, pops up on your desktop down in a little hologram form, is like, hey, guess, like 7 years ago today, we went fishing. Did you remember that? And then like pops up out of your Google phone roll, pops up some pictures of like the two of you went fishing, before his untimely demise, before the ocean took him from you. I, I'm not sure, but I want to believe that in a lot of ways this could be valuable. I mean, this is the VR aspect of things and not what you thought you were coming on for, but we like to have the theoretical
You
and
get around.
philosophical discussion. It's scary, but VR, could we lose ourselves in it? Will it shape how unhealthily we view and interact with reality?
I mean, people are already losing themselves in their phone or spend hours in the day on video games. It's just like you're gonna go where you feel most comfortable in general. So hopefully VR makes enough of the world better that you feel like you can go explore it.
See,
That's all I
what
got
a
to
great,
say.
that's a good answer. That's a good answer because you're right. I mean, not everybody now uses their phone in a way that is unhealthy. Not everybody now uses, technology in a way that's unhealthy. But we see those people. But it's much like anything else. The internet has made it really, really easy for us to see really tiny subsets of the population, whether they're really tiny minority opinions or really minority hobbies. We get to see them now. We wouldn't have in the past because without the internet, we just wouldn't know those people exist because they would have been, back in the barn. I don't know what an Amish person would be doing, living their life milking and never leaving that one barn. I don't know. We wouldn't know. We wouldn't know that they were the minority
Got a barn to
barn
raise.
dweller, the barn troglodyte that would never leave the barn with the rest of the congregation because we wouldn't see them. And the
Isn't
internet's
that what
done
people
that.
think of Amish already? They're just the farm troglodytes that stay
No,
out
no, no.
of
They,
nowhere
I,
but Pennsylvania.
I'm pretty sure they all go on Rumspringa and then they get all fucking wild and then they come back and they run like a no electricity mafia. I don't know. I don't know anything about the Amish. I'm just
I
going
support
by.
no electricity mafias.
Yeah, but except oh fuck, everybody's leveling up in chat. Oh god. All right, well, you don't have to do that. Mark, thank you. This is Mark's part of the project today. And he's contributing to the show because when somebody levels up in the Discord chat, I take a shot. And I think that's the only level that I've seen so far. Thank fucking God for that. So,
This is all I got. I'm not taking a shot.
Nope, don't worry about it. That's my job. I'll protect you. Oh God. Just Thursday was rough, and I'm still thinking back to Thursday night. Thursday got out of control, and it was a lot of shots, and I'm a little gun shy. So I don't owe you a drink, Rondon. I will. I'm going to. You can't see me, but I promise you, I'm literally holding a bourbon bottle to the camera. So I guess now that we're more than halfway through the show, we could probably swing back around and talk a little bit more about the DEX stuff, because the DEX stuff, and if you're in the chat, by the way, fuck off, fuck off, Swoop. If you're in the chat, whether you're in Twitch, whether you're in YouTube, whether you're in Theta, whether you're in Vim, whether you're in Discord, if you have questions, please throw them out here. If they're not questions like Swoop was asking, please ask your legitimate question. So, like, I know Carson, you might have some thoughts. Some other people who are looking at building, you might have some thoughts. I'm going to drink, you fucks. So if you have them, please drop them in the chat. But let's kind of swing back around, because the DEX aspect is really interesting. And for a lot of people in the crypto space, DEXs are becoming more and more and more important. And for people in Hive, obviously, more and more and more important. Hive people have already been pretty fucking bitten by centralized exchange options or custodial exchange options. So maybe you want to talk a little bit about what a DEX is and how you want to build yours and how that's going to take advantage of Hive, because your proposal, I haven't gone through the second proposal yet for the DEX, but that picture with the numbers and the lines and the circles and everything, I'm like, ooh, if people see that, they are going to just glaze over. So
glaze over. I just threw that in there because that was a picture that was slightly relevant, and I don't make pictures. This is 100% Mark's job to make all things that look like something you can look at.
Okay, well, I'm just, again, lay people. I mean, for a lot of people who are coming around Hive, like, they just know an exchange is an exchange, and they don't even necessarily understand what a DEX versus a SEX. Oh, a SEX, a KEX? How would you say a centralized exchange with a C?
Yeah, let's go with KEX.
Listen, I'm getting the viewers here one way or another, friend. But you know what I mean. So, like, how is Hive really well suited, and can we kind of like dumb down the idea of a DEX for people? Because, at a base level, it's a really easy concept to understand, but we use, like you said, distributed and, sort of these really descriptive but technical terms that kind of obfuscate.
Thanks, Clyde. That's exactly how my DEX works.
I mean, you haven't had that many dicks yet in chat, so I'm going to say you're going well. True. I'm going to take a shot while you start.
All right, so first off, let's go back to like what a traditional exchange was. And exchange in general, you just have like a dollar here, and somebody wants your dollar. They want to give you a pencil, so they give you a pencil, you give them a dollar. The hard part is when you get onto, say, like an eBay type place or a stock market type place where you're like, I want somebody to buy this pen, but there's nobody there with a dollar right there. So this is basically Bitcoin. We're like, hey, I have this Bitcoin that I want some dollars for. What do I do now? So blockchain in general is a great place for this peer-to-peer exchange, but not necessarily a great place for, there is no trusted third party unless you build your entire network like Ethereum did into that third party. So how this is handled in the real world, and like, say, a stock exchange, your brokerage has a large share of whatever stock you want to buy, and then they trade it amongst themselves. So there's always somebody there who has a large amount of capital or a large amount of the asset, or in Ethereum's DeFi world, they have a pool of assets, and they're doing their finance against that pool. So instead of having a pool of assets, and I mean, even some decentralized exchanges use the pool of assets as the idea. The first version of the exchange that I built was built around a decentralized model. So if you're playing a game of uh, like it works kind of like basketball, where every time you take a shot, everybody who's there on the court can say like, "Oh, you get 2 more points," and everybody has that mental ledger in their head that your point have gone up by 2 points. So you just make a rule book that says, I'm going to put this out here, and you tell everybody around, because it's a public ledger, I want to sell 1 Hive for 1 DeLUX, or 1 DeLUX for 1 Hive. And everybody's just like, here's my mental, it's not a mental note, it's on a public ledger, but it works the same. Where you're like, this is what's going to happen if somebody comes around. So somebody comes around and are like, hey, is there any place that I can buy this from? And everybody's just like, oh, that person right there has that asset. So you go and you're like, hey, person with that asset, I'm going to finish this transaction. So instead of the centralized pool of resources or capital or assets that you're trading against or in or through, this is just a model where everybody's just keeping track of the decentralized, the distributed assets of the community that they want to put up for the exchange. Now, the biggest problem with that is that it's an atomic swap protocol. So you can't say, I want to buy half of a DeLUX or 2 DeLUX. You have to find somebody who is willing to buy half the DeLUX or the 2 DeLUX in this case. So the second version of the protocol is one that will build amongst everybody there a centralized pool so you can exchange partial orders and get stuff done that way. But still, that model goes on a multi-sig wallet, so it's not necessarily anybody's, it's the collective's.
Right.
So more like Ethereum.
So for kind of, people who are like, I don't fucking know. The idea here is simply you are not trading with the exchange itself. You're trading with another person, and it's being observed by everyone. And so that's of course where we've seen problems in the past, because we know everybody's favorite adage is not your keys, not your crypto. So to trade with a centralized exchange, they have to hold an asset for you. And that's very problematic because we've seen, some of the things that can come with that. But, removed from even say the Steam Hive Justin Sun drama, it's still problematic because crypto is trying to build a place that says, hey, you are the master and arbiter of your own financial future. And also, you need a little bit of personal responsibility. Yes, it's super important that we make this easy, and it's super important that we help people with tools that empower them to do well with their own finances, which is actually sort of why banks exist in the first place. They've just grown out of control. But we're kind of trying to train people back into, hey, you have to have a little bit more responsibility about this. But what that means is with that responsibility comes more freedom, because you're not having necessarily to play by the rules of that centralized exchange. They will hold your money for you, or they will hold your assets for you, subject to X, Y, Z. You don't want X, Y, Z. So a DEX is really important in this case because you do more spastic crim titty bouncing, please. It's really unfortunate because I knew when I got dressed this morning that if I wore a t-shirt, it would have been a better choice. So thank you, audience. Go team. Some of us are larger. The bodacious tatas were God's apology for the slight gut. Okay? Just roll with it. You can't see that. That's conveniently out of frame. I apologize. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. But welcome to the universe and life and everything. So DEXs do absolutely matter. And in the case of a universe where more and more and more, thank you, kitty girl, where more and more and more people are experimenting with self-custody, pull your shirt up over your face, please. Yeah, that's not the first time I've been told to have my face covered on stream. I'll tell you, you develop a thick skin. But Yeah, I do normally purposefully change my outfits to not be what I normally wear day to day to kind of keep the rabble down. You fucks, focus on tokens. So, so I gotta get some form of like, I just need a giant Bitcoin cardboard cutout to stand behind, or like a Hive, I don't know what, coverage, some sort of standee that I can just have eye holes cut out of. So coming back to the DEX thing, this is really important. And I think a lot of people on Hive probably don't have a good understanding of a DEX. And so for you, you're going to launch the actual DEX itself. You're going to have technology that's going to empower people to trade amongst themselves without having to trade through a centralized entity. All of this is fucking fabulous. However, most of the people that come to Hive, depending on where they are in the world or depending on what their experience is around the blockchain, they're very used to a centralized exchange. And in many cases, they don't actually realize that there are options. They just get some Hive and then they're like, what do I do with Hive? And someone will give them a suggestion and that's it. They'll just believe that that is, you know, there's sort of a very directional flow. I get the Hive, I take it to Bittrex, I sell the Hive, and that's just sort of the flow goes one way. So knowing that you have such a huge community here on Hive with such a diversity of experiences that are all, for the most part, quite small, what's your goal to kind of help grow this DEX? Because we've seen people try to create DEXs on Hive before. Not one of them has come to fruition in a way that is meaningful in any way, shape, or form. Knowing that this is going to be an option that's better for so many people, you were talking about how the token aspect for your, your project is going to help people run nodes and empower them to, support your infrastructure. But like, how are you going to get people to use your DEX? Knowing when it's done and it's tested and it's out there, what's the game plan, man?
I mean, like, that's just like how you do stuff, I guess. When you get tokens on Hive Engine, do you go to Hive Engine or the Leo DEX and trade there? So I'm just assuming that the DEX is a necessary function if you're going to issue a token. And yeah, like on Ethereum, people issued ERC20 tokens for a long time, and the only places you could trade those were centralized exchanges, which also means you had to go out there and find a centralized exchange to list your tokens, or you could just send them peer-to-peer to whoever you wanted to. So people, when they have the tokens, they'll look for those options. And I'm not necessarily worried about people finding my DEX. I think it's just one of those things you got to use. I'm much more worried about people finding out about this DLUX. For instance, we had our VR editor was out the day before you could edit any content on Decentraland. And Decentraland now is a $1.5 billion market, and it still costs you $10 to buy an asset. I don't get it. So this is just my fault with being way too good at code and not good at all with marketing.
Yeah, and you know what? It's not even necessarily like, yes, marketing. It does fucking matter. Obviously, which we know. And this is a tough spot for me because I do marketing, but it is a large part of my day job, and I have a real day job. And so Hive for me, and I've had many a teary show on CyberBuzz where I've kind of apologized because I feel like Hive is also a full-time job, but it doesn't pay me shit. And it shits on me constantly. So
yeah,
it's unfortunate because I'm already putting, usually 80 to 90 hours into, like bi-weekly, 45-hour work weeks ish into my regular job. And that's very fulfilling and very exciting and whatever. And then I put what I feel like, into Hive, which is a lot, almost the same amount of hours. And so it's hard for me to want to step forward into a role where I'm going to get into the full marketing because it is a true full-time job. Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. I think my Twitch is hooked up wrong on the one chatbot because MSP Waves is over on my actual live Twitch and none of these people are there. But they're lit up and they're all freaking out. Somebody's yelling about chickens and somebody's like, what's happening? And hi, Twitch. And so I don't know. I fucked something up somewhere. But so the reality is it's hard for me because I do marketing all fucking day. I do, web page building all day. I make copy and graphic stuff and content to disseminate to my actual job and people. And so then when I get back to Hive, it's like, am I ready to take this on as an individual for everyone? And every time I do, I usually end up getting crapped on. So it's kind of been like I'm trying to keep it at bay. But for you, this is your project. And it's something that we've kind of gotta help you do. And you've got to find somebody who can help, because this is something that we have. I've been excited about DLUX, and so have so many people, El Gecko and, the VR side of things for so long. And you guys were first in a lot of ways. I remember you were doing a live event, and you helped a group with a live event do some AR augmentation with their actual event, and people were logging in with their phones and having a crazy fun time.
Oh yeah.
But it never actually translated back to people actually on the platform. And so I think, that definitely is going to be something that's going to be an important part of supporting your growth moving forwards, because it is a huge topic. Because how many places are there now? Crypto voxels, Somnium Space, Decentralized, all these, and they're all incredibly expensive. Expensive. And a lot of them aren't necessarily really nicely geared to a starting creator. There's quite a steep curve on them. They don't have like the equivalent of a fucking WYSIWYG interface. That's wild for a lot of people to just be like drag and drop assets, and then freely work with and share and deploy them. It drives me nuts.
Yeah.
So I mean, how do we support you in this aspect of things? And what's a good way to get people who have never tried it to try it? Because a lot of people on Hive, they've never thought in their life that VR is a possibility for them. We've got a lot of people who work with just their phones or just their tablets, mobile data, and this is a big restriction, in general for a lot of parts of the world, but Hive sees a lot of them. So I mean,
oh yeah,
have you thought a little bit about maybe partnering with some of the projects? Like NFT Showroom is a great example. Like, I'm literally going to chase Mark. Like, Mark, you shouldn't have said anything. I feel so bad for you now. I'm literally going to chase Mark around about that. But
Mark is a lot easier to chase around because Mark lives VR. Every time I say something like, we need this, and he's like, how does that benefit VR? So yes, definitely chase Mark around to get some VR stuff done. Yeah, like he says, he needs a killer app. We need a killer app. What we've put out isn't a killer app. It's proof of concepts and development and proof of concepts. It's not a killer app.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I guess the reality comes back to, knowing that there are apps that can be enhanced by using DLUX VR, and also knowing that there are, DLUX could borrow some of the sort of shine of some of these apps, because like I said, there was that Splinterlands model demo that you guys did once. Maybe that's a good place for you to start. Or maybe it is that you just need to package your editor with a cool website that says, start now, start free, create a VR world, deploy it, invite people to see it. I mean, I don't know what that looks like, but certainly for me, I think one of the easiest things you can do is kind of looking at some of the bigger apps and even some of the bigger interfaces like PeakD or like a Splinterlands or like one of the whatever, or a NFT showroom, and saying, okay, well, let's build a little VR aspect that is, a template that can be populated by a little bit of information from somebody's user profile, have that visible only through that front end, and then in giant letters say, powered by DLUX, get started, and, try and funnel people towards you that way. So I see Carson's got questions, because that's why I kind of dragged him in here. So let's see.
So yeah, I saw the question. I try to say yes. Right now, all of our smart contracts are mostly associated with how to get stuff, because the content that we do have in our system right now is executable content, and that comes with a lot of dangers on the internet. So like, you're familiar with front end, and I'm sure you've run into CORS issues when you're trying to bring in external assets. So if you just have a place where anybody can say load up your VR content and all of a sudden your computer has AIDS, this isn't what we want. So a lot of the smart contract functionality that we have on our system right now is how do you load these applications into containers that can't be cross-scripted, and how do you say this particular app doesn't have the functionality to steal your, like, is it going to ask Hive keychain for a memo to be signed or something so that somebody can fake being you? So as people see an app and it gets popular and you're like, oh no, this thing did some weird thing, I need to be able to say that this app isn't good for the community. You can file like a JSON certificate, or the DEX is also run on JSON smart contracts where you just say, I want to sell 100 DLUX and I want it for 50 Hive, or whatever that is. So that becomes the smart contract that powers the DEX. And then anybody who takes our code, and like, we encourage you to do that and run your own community on Hive using this paradigm, those contracts can be whatever you want them to be. So you just build a handler that is expecting certain things. You build a validator to say, okay, don't have negative numbers, don't have strings, whatever it is. And when those parameters are valid, then you have a smart contract that can run.
Okay, perfect. So you answered the question really quickly and I didn't get a chance to read it. And yes, I know if you are watching the live stream, my camera froze. I forgot to plug it in, so it ran out of batteries. So I'm just fixing it right now while I'm talking to you. So if you hear kind of weird tippy tapping on the microphone, it's because I'm also an Android, and we're all dreaming of electric sheep right now. So while I fix it, yeah, Carson had asked quite a technical question. So for a lot of you, that answer was probably utterly terrifying. That's okay. It's okay. But Carson is probably a great example of your target market. He has been interested in Hive. Hang on, I'm just fixing things now here. He's been interested in Hive specifically to do what you are building. He wants to use a service very much like yours. And so the questions that he's going to ask you is very dev-centric. And for a lot of the people in the audience, I'm upside down. I could stay upside down. Do you guys want me to hang from the ceiling? Poor Steve has no idea what's happening above him on the stream right now. I'm monkey hanging from the ceiling upside down. So there, I'm fixed. I'm back. I'm not frozen. I'm not, what do you call it? I'm not fully a replicant. So yeah, Carson's
now
question.
Fully erect. Okay.
That's right. I've loaded back in. For a minute there, I was having a CORS error myself, actually. So we couldn't display everything that was happening, but I fixed it. So yeah, Carson asked a really technical question. For a lot of people, that answer does not mean anything to you. But this is one of the reasons that I was hoping he would show up today, because for him and his game and what he and his group want to do with Hive, what you're doing is really interesting. And so you guys, I know you've been working on this and it's not perfect, but for people like Carson who are just kind of exploring what you're doing, the proposal system is not going to be, or your proposal sort of documents are not going to be the things that they're going to want to read or learn from. Do you have some resources that somebody on a dev side could take a look at? Or do you have kind of like more documentation yet?
So yeah, let me just draw up that. Right on our website, since, our website is beta, alpha even, we're more or less, we're just trying to make sure that the features on the backside work first. So if you've seen it on Hive, like PeakD or Hive.blog, and you're expecting, say, like the delegate button to delegate, it might not delegate on our site, but that's where we're at. But at the same time, there's 3 sections on the top, and those are apps. So you can see some of those proof of concept apps that we have out. You can vote on them. That's the exchange. You can go in the exchange and you can buy and sell the orders, where you can build the orders to buy and sell. So it works both ways. And then there's docs. So you can go down and say, like, hey, they've thought about this and this and this. And somewhere down toward the end, there's some talk about token.
Perfect. Oh God, you got
And DeLUX is Decentralized Limitless User Experiences. It's the only crypto that starts with a D that makes any sense.
I didn't know it actually meant anything. I just thought it was a really fucking cool ticker. So high five. Good job, you. That's right, internet high five. Not like the ones that are on Twitter all the time. Oh Lord. So that's really cool. We still got about a half an hour left in the show. So we are handling this. We are handling your business real good, actually. I'm impressed how much we've gotten through today. And I will say, I can see Cly has dropped my frozen face into chat. And can I just say that this time, hey, Mossy. Oh, there's Moss. Okay, so that was from Danny Coyne's event. One of the people who are really interested in DLUX and your system that came from one of the events that I spoke at last week is here, and he's watching on the YouTube. So, hey, Mossy, really intelligent, awesome questions. So hopefully he'll get a chance to kind of hook up with you in the future because he's really interested in the VR building side. And a lot of the people from... you know, the programs that exist out there, like the, what do you call it, Alt VR and Rec Room, and all these people who are experimenting with the VR chat programs are realizing we could go further. We can build things, we can share things, and they're really interested in what you're doing. So that's cool. Oh, yeah.
If everybody wants to get super technical and people who aren't technical just want to watch us effectively count sheep for them, that's fine.
But I mean, that is, to me, that is the hallmark of why Hive can be successful and why programs and dApps and projects built on Hive really matter, is because there is an aspect of voluntarism to it. You can do and participate and engage and attempt just as much as you want and no further. Yeah, no further. And then that's it. Did you get that? Did you actually get the reference? Yes! Fucking nerds up in here. So, I mean, that's an important part of blockchain in general. We've talked about voluntarism on the show before, and what does it mean, and why is it a core sort of tenet of Hive? But I think that all dApps moving forward and all successful projects are going to have to embrace that idea. Like you say, you should be able to come and drag and drop some fun models and then, you know, dance around in the little world you made in like 45 seconds. Save it, post it, sign it, go. Or you should be able to say, I'm going to use this as the foundational work for my new game. And so I did see that earlier, and I don't know. Oh gosh, look at this. Carson with the big questions again. Let me read this one out this time. So Carson is saying, is there a single DLUX sidechain that all nodes validate together, or does each node run its own sidechain? So he's asking if I ran a node and I had smart contracts written for my game, would my node be validating your DEX transaction and your node validating my game transactions, or are we running in our own little ecosystem? So
nope, you run it on your own ecosystem.
Yeah.
And that's more powerful than the other way around, because so the way the DEX is set up, there isn't that intermediary token. So like on Hive Engine, you take your Hive, you buy, what is it, Honey Swap or something like that. Mm-hmm. And then now you have a Hive peg token, and that token is used to interface with the other tokens that are on that system. In this system, all you do is you say, instead of DeLuxe DEX buy on a custom JSON ID, if you want to get really technical, it'll be your token DEX buy or join game or whatever it is. My system just sees that transaction roll by, and it's like, I don't care. Your system sees my stuff roll by, and it's just like, I don't care. And now computing costs a lot less.
Yeah, you were mentioning this earlier, that this in a lot of ways allows everybody to build sort of less expensive systems that are more efficient, that take all of the advantage of decentralization and none of the whole, our block sizes and our, you know, RAM needs are now astronomical, and we've created an entire moon base just to, you know, validate transactions. I was trying not to crack up in there, and it was not referred to your answer. If you look in chat, someone has now photoshopped Bernie on my couch in the background. Mittens Bernie is now sitting behind. Well, and actually, I was going to mention earlier, so my camera froze, and Clyde put it in chat. Now, I will just say, this time, I look relatively sane. There was one night where I hosted, again, I'll tell you another little story that I hate referring to, but it's kind of funny. One night I was hosting a newbie night for Hive, and I was teaching a bunch of people about the blockchain, and it was just just ask me questions. We're all drinking beers. I'm going to tell you how Hive works. No formality behind it whatsoever. And at some point in the middle of this, my camera froze. And I didn't know. It was the same thing that happened. My phone had gone dead, and so it had stopped recording. Except my face was like fully up front, and it was like mangled. I don't know. It was like somebody hit me in the jaw with a sledgehammer, and one of my eyes was like slumped closed, and I looked like some sort of mutant from like Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It was the worst thing. And it stayed on the live stream for almost 45 minutes, just like that. And not one fucking person told me. and because I am a professional live streamer and DJ, not only that, my microphone was not recorded. So it was essentially somebody would ask a question and then there would be 20 minutes of silence and my face looking into the camera like, Dana! It was, I can't, oh my God, I'm having flashbacks and I want to die even just thinking about it. So you know what? I'm fine with it. I accept that this is what happened this time around. All right, so let's kind of swing back around because we have talked about so much stuff. I see more people are jumping in. Some people are coming or going. Hi, Shane. I see lots of people on Twitch, on YouTube. I'm really excited to see all the people who are around and chatting everywhere. Oh, that's great. And I see Mark is also on the YouTube and he's talking with Mossy over on the YouTube. My name is Crimson Clad. This is CyberBuzz and we talk about a lot of this kind of thing. So, you know, Steve and DLUX are a perfect topic for this. It's Hive centric, it's builder centric, it's user centric, it's VR, it's, you know, finance, it's tokens. My God, sir, you do it all. Oh God, I really did look like Chunk.
I DJ too.
You're DJ too. Yeah. So, you know, I mean, if you had a synthwave favorite, I could out the show with it today, but I actually have a favorite that everybody will leave for chat. So we'll make sure it's after
we won't be hearing any ComTrues.
Oh, actually, you know what? I saw ComTrues live. He was one of the last shows I saw before everything went fucking shit sideways. And it was awesome. And I got completely out of my gourd. And that's a story for another time. But I'm looking forward to concert experiences again. That's another VR thing that seems to be, you know, stepping up in these unprecedented times. Is, you know, group experiences in VR. We sorely need them. And I don't know what that's gonna look like. So can you foresee a little Hive nightclub built on DLUX?
Oh yeah. Absolutely. It can happen.
So I have a couple questions then.
Yeah.
That this has kind of made me think of. So when I build in DLUX, let's just say I'm building a DLUX and I'm deploying my environment. What sort of how many people can be active inside an environment at once? Or, you know, what does that look like? So knowing that you can build something in DLUX and then you can deploy it, when you're in that space, what do you see another user like? Do you see another simultaneous user? Are you just in the space and not acknowledging each other yet? Like, this is mean, but we're going here. I don't know if you're prepped for this.
So like right now it is the most rudimentary avatar system that exists.
Okay.
However,
there is one.
There is one. This you know, WYSIWYG editor thing that I was talking about has a built-in VR chat room. It uses your username and the perm link just like a post, and it builds you a chat room through our server. So I mean, it's just like set up that way. But as soon as you post it, it's there. You go in there. There's a little egg avatar that has these big beady eyes.
Oh yeah,
and
standard. Yep.
If you're logged in, it should say your name above you, and if it doesn't, I think it says, I can't remember what it says, guest maybe. But yeah, you roll around and you can talk to people. It's definitely not perfect. It uses EasyRTC. Depending on people's firewalls and their configuration, it gets a little messy. But it's there. It works. I think Mozilla had something like 1,000 people in one of these rooms. But yeah, we haven't been able to test that because we can barely get 100 people to know we exist.
Well, we're changing it, but there you go. So there you go. Mark's actually dropped one in chat. There are the two of you hanging out in what is actually a gallery. So that's fucking cool. Okay, perfect. Because these are the questions that the VR people are going to want to ask.
Yeah.
I'm keeping an eye on the time. We'll try and wrap up with one more. Everybody needs to go share and vote for the proposal, and really bring some questions and interest and focus to your proposals for the token and layer 2 side of things. But the VR aspect is where we're at now. So the other question that I had, I've literally just forgotten. So give me 1 second to kind of retrace my thought process. It was about how many people can be involved in an environment at one time. Something to do with concerts. Nah, it's gone. It's gone.
Yeah. like 1,000 right now, but yeah. So those microservices and things that you will be able to use your tokens for, yeah, that's one of those things. So if you have a turn server set up or different people logging in, there's ways to handle that, but we can't do it right now. Right now it's just P2P because we can't afford the infrastructure.
But that doesn't matter because P2P is something that a lot of people are interested in, and it's a good starting place because it's sustainable on a smaller level for everyone. I remember what it is. Clyde was asking earlier, and it may or may not have been snarky or real, but I know just recently you guys had some sort of mesh colliders that you've been working on. But he was asking specifically about potentially like hitboxes and things like that. So for somebody who wanted to go a little bit further and not just, maybe you got a bunch of SketchUp models or whatever the case is, you've built an environment really quickly, and now you want to lob shit at each other. Because that's how the internet works. What are your plans, if any, knowing that it's not the immediate focus, to kind of create a way that people can jump into game dev?
Oh yeah, there's so the VR system that we build with natively on our platform. I would say natively, it's not ours. A group of people from San Francisco have built most of it. It's called A-Frame. There are all kinds of really cool packages that people have built for it, and those include like a state component, an AABB collider box. There is a thing that you can go and first-person shoot. Like we don't use hitboxes to find where walls and stuff are because that's a little processor intensive. So we have in our WYSIWYG builder a nav mesh builder, which goes around and says like, can my avatar fit in this place? And if it can't, then it'll like block off the row, an area, and then your avatar is stuck to the nav mesh that we built. So all of these things are like thought out, and things are like, yeah.
There's foundational work.
It depends on what you build. Yeah, foundational work. If you have an idea, you can definitely get out and build it. There's nothing stopping you at all.
That's super cool because I've been just now starting to understand A-Frame as well, because I've got some stuff that I want some interactions and animations that are compatible with, say, Alt VR. So or Alt Space VR. So that's cool. Again, Mark, I apologize, but I'm coming for you, Bo. But I did see that Twitch chat is being overrun with people yelling things like salami. But I did see Mossy in there, and he and I had talked about this last week a little bit, and knowing we're kind of coming towards the end of the show, he was asking, okay, so one of the things that he's interested in is potentially like ticketed experiences or events. So knowing that, first of all, you're tied to the Hive ecosystem, which weirdly enough has the opportunity to use tokens to monetize, whether the Hive token or DLUX tokens in the future. What do you think about something like that? Like, let's say that we are going to create, I'm going to use NFT Showroom as an example. Probably not a good, no, I'm not. Knitted Tea Cozy.
If you just want to talk about ticketed events and say like, I'm having a gallery opening in my NFT showroom, and you have to buy a ticket to get there, you can do that because say
I wanted to use that example, and then I realized no, I don't want to have that for NFT
because I want to be bad at marketing
for NFT showroom. So, well, no, I just ideally, like, the first step for integration for NFT showroom as a platform will be everybody and free, and then individuals can do whatever the fuck they want. So I was gonna say, Crim's Knitted Tea Cozy Gallery. If you want to see my knitted Bernie mitten tea cozy, gotta pay up, kids. You gotta pay up. It's a ticketed event. This is not for free, and you're saying you can do it now.
You could set it up to where somebody would walk in there with a token. They would have a receipt, more or less, and if it if the backend says this person's allowed, it'll load them out assets. If you're not allowed, it won't load them out assets. Maybe you don't care if people come in and look at stuff, but you don't want them to, shout dicks in the back. You can say they can't connect to the chat room that you've built unless they have ticketed themselves, or whatever the logic is that you want to bring to your system, your game, your business, whatever it is. It's there. You can think it. You can do it.
Can you sell tickets to a given space where you have a live performance, for example? Oh my gosh.
Sure.
I'm trying to keep track of your chat, Mossy, but whatever has happened, this wild broken Twitch integration that I have here, it's moving faster than the speed of light. I literally cannot keep up with the chat that is happening on a Twitch somewhere. So if I miss something, Mossy, or anybody else who's watching on YouTube, I'm so sorry. I'm going to have to figure it out, because if I could show you this, it's flying. It's like one of those like Hacker Man episodes where he's like, and the code's just up the screen. It's a bunch of people with emojis on Twitch just having a time.
Emojics,
so,
okay.
Emojics. It's just verbal diarrhea, but of emojis and QQQQ. Hello, please kill me now. Hello, blah, 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 blah. So, as I could say, obviously, very popular stream happening over there. People are asking for badges. I don't even know what a badge on Twitch is. God, I'm the worst live streamer. So, we're almost to the end of the show. I don't understand. I use blockchain technology. I also am not a good live streamer or marketer or whatever, but we're working on it. That's my goal this year, is to start growing this more so I can help you and other people grow more. Mossy, Mark Jaws was in the chat. He was just saying, yeah, HTML paywall, because as you build these events or spaces, as you create them, it's where you basically link to them from, right? Essentially. So in a lot of cases, you could just throw up a really rudimentary HTML website, have a little paywall. You could tie that to a token. You could tie it to a fiat card processor, a Shopify store. I don't know, whatever you wanted. Somebody has to roll up. They have to drive in front of your house and throw a brick with a $5 bill on it. And then you'll like throw back, I don't know, a paper airplane with the link on it, whatever. You could do it. It's a thing. So that's really cool. So knowing that we're coming up to the end of the video, this chat is moving so fast, I'm going to close it. YouTube, officially, I'm not going to be able to read anything else that is over on YouTube, because I don't know what's happening over there. So just click that off. It's gone now. So we only have about 8 minutes left in the show. I am going to play a short outro track. So let's say you got like 2-3 minutes. I would like for you to give sort of a short, impassioned elevator pitch for the DLUX project, whether it be the VR aspect or the tokenized layer 2 DEX side of things. If you could give me like a minute or two, just lay it out. Why is it cool? Why should people support you? What are you trying to do? Here's your chance.
My 3-minute elevator pitch, or 2 minutes, would be: you've heard of Bitcoin, you've heard of Ethereum, now you can actually afford to do it, and you can do whatever you want. You have a Hive blockchain, it's peer-to-peer, you can meet with your friends, user names that you can actually read, and you can build whatever you want, tokens included, smart contracts included, AR, VR, sell stuff in your real-life brick-and-mortar place, sell stuff in VR, whatever you want, you can build it. It's all free. The tokenomics of it just make it to where the more people who use it, the more that token is worth, just like on Hive. So really, this is more of just like, this is something that you can do with Hive, and we're making it more possible for you to do more things.
That is awesome. It's perfect. I mean, that's a big thing. You've heard of these other tokens and what they allow you to do. You know they cost you a lot, and they're kind of scary to jump into, but you could come to DLUX, you could do it for free, and you can start right now. That's a pretty damn good pitch. So the last thing that I'm going to say before I bodily pick you up and fling you out this room with love, is this is one last time here's the deal. We have a proposal system within Hive. It is generally really not utilized well right now. And the only way to change that is to start getting more people loudly and openly supporting projects on the proposal system. Because a lot of the time, we go, oh, the whales don't pay attention to it. And there's certainly, there is an aspect of that. And for you, as you are disrupting some existing business models, that's also problematic. But largely, people just don't check to see when new proposals happen. And if you don't get out there and be like, I have this, look at it, and put it in their face, they just don't look. It just doesn't happen. Yeah. So today, we're going to put those proposals out here. We're going to say, hey, can you guys, if you've enjoyed kind of listening to this, talking about this, understanding this, and if you have more questions, please go engage with it on the blockchain. Please talk to people you know about what you want to see done. And thank you so much for hanging out with me today. We kind of went into this with exactly zero plans, and I feel like overall it was fairly entertaining, mostly.
Do you mind if I drop my Discord in here?
Yes, please do. Please do. Where I just got a role after being there for 4 fucking years. I've been in that Discord so long, I didn't even get an entry message, and I didn't even have a role till like yesterday. All right, so if you're interested, you can pop in the Discord. This will be available. It'll be available to rewatch on YouTube, to share around. It'll be available on Twitch for 14 days or whatever. I don't know. If you want to upload it to the blockchain or whatever, you'll have options. But I'm going to throw you out now. We're going to wind down. There will be shows after me today. If you want to check out the whole schedule, you can go to mspwaves.com. You can find the whole schedule there. And I'm gonna swing us out of here. Ulver is a band that I love. They started off with incredibly black, darkened metal in the 90s, just evil black death metal. And they've metamorphosized into like weird experimental pop music. One of my favorite tracks off their new album, Carpenter Brute, just remixed it. It is cheesy, it is synthy, it has sexy saxophone. It talks about swords and machine guns. It's perfect, and that's what I'm going to take us out on. So I'm going to play this track, I'm going to kick Steve out, and you guys are free to have a little dance with me for the next couple minutes. Thank you so much. Here we go, guys.
Later.
Bye!
Nothing to hold on to against the dying lines. Carry the milk or pierce the body with swords, machine guns, flowers and peacock feathers. Altered organ function, computers, democracy and nervous disorder. Swords and machine guns, flowers and feathers, altered organ function, nervous disorder. It's 2 minutes to midnight in the Garden of Delights. And do androids dream of electric sheep? Battles are burning, great art will be destroyed. The sleeping beauty of the wasteland. Carry the milk or pierce the body with swords, machine guns, flowers and peacock feathers. Altered organ function, computers, democracy and nervous disorder.
now, bitches. We snuck in before the curfew. All right, bye. CyberBuzz.